Yes, this is where we actually have a no-holds-barred conversation on issues in the society. Yes, and today's not going to be the exception. Now, it's back in the news, and quite a number of persons are saying it's the way to go. And what is that really that is back in the news? It's the advocacy for single term, a single term for presidents and governors. Don't forget, sometimes around, I think, 2013, 14, that conversation came up when, the then government, quite a number of persons felt it was the then government that was pushing the narrative. You know that, yes, the president should have a single term, and I think it was 6 years single term, and they advocated for this, but quite a number of persons pushed, back. But now, after how many years, that conversation is coming back again, and quite a number of persons believe that is the way to go. Now, that's what we are going to be looking at on the program this morning. It's going to be like a debate where we are going to be looking at the pros and the cons of, that single term, and then the current, structure that we are operating today in the country. Don't forget, we still run the 2 terms for president, 8 years, 2 terms for presidents and governors, and then some people are saying with a single term, it could be 5 years, it could be 6 years, that would actually help us overcome or surmount most of the challenges that we are faced with, that our political, governance is faced with. That's what we are going to be looking at in the next couple of minutes, and we've been joined in the studio by a public commentator, an orator, a motivational speaker. The list is endless. An engineer, no other than Engineer Biodun Fujabi. It's a pleasure having you join us.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Well, I'm not alone. My colleague, Binsola Ogunbadiwa, is also here, and I'm sure she likes firing the first missiles.
Who said I want to fire the first missile? Good morning, Engineer Fujabi.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. As Dominic has said, in 2013 and maybe 2015, 2016, thereabout, this was mentioned then, but it was not acceptable to the people, so to say. But now it is back on the news. From your experience as a Nigerian, as a commentator, as a public affairs analyst, what do you say for a single term of 5 or 6 years, or 2 terms of 8 years?
Well, I am not going to box myself into either of them, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. Examples abound within the nation of where single terms have worked with some challenges. There will always be challenges. And also where 2 terms have worked with their own challenges. So the lure of the first term is the ability of the government to focus, since it's no longer going to campaign for the next election, is to focus on governance without having the burden of replicating or taking over from itself in terms of second term. So that helps him to focus. That's ideally. It has not happened perfectly anywhere in the world, because you will see a lot of the government in power wanting their party to still win elections, the next election. So in the process, they are still neck deep in who takes over from them, because some of them probably have done some things that they feel may be exposed by an opposing party that comes into government. So they are still actively involved in choosing their successors. So, but openly it looks like this is something that will really, really work and help. So the second, a major challenge with that is the lame duck situation. once the people know that you're not coming back, there are certain things that, that there's this mentality that, look, whatever systems he has now in place may change. So adherence to laws, the rules of law, is lower when you are in a lame duck situation. All right. I'd like you to look at the United States of America. Because of the term limit for them, even that is a true term, because of the term limit, people are standing up to Trump. It wasn't so in his first term, and it wasn't so in the first year of his term. But now that we're going to the second year, the midterm elections are coming in the U.S. in November. Members of his party are already standing up to him. The almighty Trump is losing his zest and is losing his dominance over his party. It is the way to go. It is the way. That's the way it is. Whenever people sense that this is lame duck, because individuals, either those in governance, those elected officials, they want to win elections, and so if they consider you that you are no longer a political, you are no longer the political calculations, they will just eliminate, they will just leave you aside and pursue their own. And this may be contrary to what the party direction is, and this may affect the quality of delivery. So what am I suggesting? Strong institutions is it. Look at 2 terms of the President of the United States. He won election and he started campaigning the following week. So what are you talking about? That was in his first term. That was in his first term. He won election and started campaigning for the second term the following week. So even if you think they should allow maybe that like 2 years to pass before they do that, it depends on the individuals. It depends on the institutions. The President of the United States has found a way to find loopholes within their system. And anyone that is desirous of finding loopholes in any system will find them. Let's be honest. There are no constitutions that are perfect. There are no rules that are perfect. For those who are devious, for those who are intent on destroying the democracy, they will always find loopholes. But when you have good-hearted people who are in governance, who desire to make contributions to the nation, and they are not out to line up their pockets or to advance their personal goals and ambitions alone, there will always be opportunity for them to do things well. They will be able to they will not test the limits of the democratic, the rules and regulations. And that will help to be able to solidify the democratic culture.
Okay, why do you think most of the presidents and the governors especially want to go again? Is it for continuity or because of the power that wants to remain with them?
All right. Okay. On the juice of office.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have you ever been in power before? Has somebody ever trusted you with power, like you have maybe your association you belong to?
Yes, it was a voluntary organization.
And then but you had authority to hire and fire, to move people from one place to another. So yes. Those ones become very sweet when they are pets. And you had power over the purse. Well, yes, finances of the association. Yes, but I don't have power to mismanage. I have power and you can choose contractors who will execute some projects. Yes. All right, and you have uncles and aunties in the field in which those contracts. Look, the thing is this: test a man with power. If you think a man is a good man, 2 things. Let him marry first, and then trust him with power. then you see his true
You will now
character.
see his true color.
But the story is for continuity.
Okay. All right. You have to look for a way to give excuse. For some, legitimately, it's for continuity. But for some, but you and I know of governors that have not performed. And in the last elections, we have seen this happen in which some governors lost. Their candidates did not win, despite all of the efforts that they put in. So it looks like the electorate is getting wiser. But you just throw in a lot of money and resources into re-election, you will eventually get it. It's a matter, unless there is a groundswell of opposition, which we have seen in the country, but people are looking for ways to make sure that they silence opposition to the point that you will be able to run them aground, and then be able to win consistently. And it is not because you have performed well. It is because you just want to maintain the hold of power. Let's face it. Let's be serious. Power is sweet. It is sweet. You know.
I mean, I'm sure you are very, very careful in teaching your terms, you know, with one of these two options.
Yes.
I mean, because and you're right, really. I mean, because it's all about the individual. These two can actually, you know, give us a perfect result if the individuals operating them are sincere enough and sincere with the people. But I know that for anything that is good has, you know, a bad side.
The other side.
And everything, I mean, when we want to make options or want to choose from two options, we look at the one with a greater good and the one with, you know, lesser evil. So now, looking at these two, which one do you think has more good, you know, than the other?
I knew you were coming to that. But let me look at examples of the United States that I've considered for a long time as the best. But that is changing now. Now, the reason why I'd always wanted the two terms was because I saw the model in the U.S. and I thought, there are checks and balances even in your first term and in your second term. In your first term, 2 years after you assume office, you will have to go through a midterm elections. The way it is done is that almost all of the House of Representatives will be re-elected every 2 years. So there is election every 2 years, major elections. They call it midterm elections. So if you know your party is going to lose power, the likelihood is that you're going to perform very well in the first term, in the first 2 years, and do very well. And then the next 2 years, you want to do well if you want to seek re-election. So it keeps you in check, really. All right. Now, we don't have that in the country. We don't have midterm elections. We have some scattered local elections. Maybe somebody has died and you want to, you know, redo election. You want to have a by-election, or like in the case of the governorship of some of those elections, some of those governorship seats that you know, were enmeshed in legal tangle, and as a result, the governor came in a year after others had come in, so you have the election staggered, you know, not at the same time. But that is not consequential enough to be able to keep somebody who is in 4-year, 1 term to be able to sit up and do something, especially one that has a vendetta, one that has no heart, no good heart, and one that believes that I can buy my way through and I can win elections. All right. You will not do something unpopular because you want to win the heart of people, because you want to do that. So, you know, like we always say, anybody who is in governance wants to do whatever he can do in the first term, and in the second term he can now rubbish the people. He can do any funny kind of policy.
Do you think that is what we get more often in Nigeria. And a second time where governors, even the president relaxes, and then in his mind, I don't need to have votes anymore, and then they just do as they like.
Yeah.
But is that rampant? Is that what we get more often? I mean, because quite a lot of persons or proponents of this single term for president and governors, that's what they are saying.
Yeah, Dominic, it still boils down to the heart, what we're talking about. Because if you have legacy in mind rather than I just want to get in government, make money, make a name for myself. If it is about leaving a legacy, then you are going to work till the last minute, and you will not bother who takes over from you, really. As a politician, yeah, you are interested. If you are not interested, then you're not a politician. But then you allow the fact that you love the people more than power, and you are desirous to leave a legacy rather than
I will stand the test of time.
Rather than for you to just ride roughshod on the people. The likelihood is that you're going to do things that will last and last and last and last.
Okay, talking about
sorry, before you come in, now while you were talking earlier on, you spoke about the midterms, which in itself it's like
it's a check.
It's a check on the president.
Yeah.
The president, from his, from the blast of the whistle, his inauguration, he knows that in the next 2 years there will be an election, and that election will actually be a reflection of how our performed as a matter of fact. How come we copied a lot from American democracy?
Oh, we did not copy
and
that.
we forgot to copy that midterm, which is a major check, really.
Yeah, can I really be honest with you? Nigerians will, especially those who are going to go to the House of Reps, Senate is 6 years in the United States. Whereas House of Reps is every 2 years.
Okay.
So, what you have there is, while the framers of the constitutions were at it, individuals in that panel will consider, supposing it is my son that wants to go into House of Reps, you give the president 4 years and you give my son 2 years. Why do they do that? What is good for the goose is good for the gander. I do not think, my opinion, I may be wrong, I do not think that they gave it serious thought about the checks and balances that the midterm elections could have. But even with the midterm elections in the United States, a president that is so sold out to driving his own agenda will make nonsense of it. We'll not even be concerned about whether his party wins or not. We want to break rules to allow his party to win, but will not do things that are consistent with the Constitution, as we see currently in the United States. I mean, look at what the current government is trying to do, trying to go behind to get more seats for their House of Reps so that they will be able to win the midterm elections. Yes, the president calling the governor of Texas and said, "Get me 5 more seats." Traditionally, you don't redistrict you don't redistrict until after they have done the census, which is every 10 years. But mid doing that, mid census, that is, census has not happened, census will not happen until another 4 years or so, you now ask them to do that. You are breaking rules, but it is because the Constitution does not actually state it, that it has to be every 10 years with redistricting. So there was a gentlemanly agreement that this is not what we will do. Because until census happens, we will not be able to know where demographics have changed and where the population now is, so that we'll be able to redistrict.
Perfectly.
But if you have ulterior motives, you can break any rule. The United States has given us, has told us that, has shown us that democracy is in jeopardy. And I know that African leaders will be so delighted and say, "Hey, my God, this guy is just behaving like us. He can run a business while he's president. And we also can run businesses.
Some people are even calling Trump a black man in white clothes.
So, I mean, but that kind of a thing. So, you see, during the Obama regime and all the regimes before him, they always emphasized strong institutions over strong men in politics. And I believe that is what is going to save democracy. When you have institutions that are strong, when the president not only can be called to order, should be called to order. When it is not just your right to do it, to call him to order, but it's an inalienable right. It's a right that can never be taken away from you. And that speaking ill of the president or the governor in the way, not in devious way, not in a way that is criminal, is right. There is nothing wrong with it. And that we can also march on the street and say we don't like what the governor has done, what the senator's done, what the chairman of local government has done, what the president has done. All of that enshrined in the Constitution to give us checks and balances on the leaders. And of course the civil society is there to help, to assist. But when you weaken all those institutions, even if you have 1 term of 2 years, somebody will destroy it within the first 6 months. If you have 2 terms of 2 years, whatever it is you have, I know you want me to you just want me to come clean and talk about which one I really like. I wish I could do that, but there will always be a caveat. And the caveat is that who are the people running it? Look at what Lopez did in Mexico, for example. For the 5 years that Lopez was there, he had a favorable rating of over 60% in Mexico, which is unusual. That was one man who made the difference, who for those 5 years improved. And what happened? His party had supermajority in the assembly, which was not so. But because of the good performance, he was able to, do that. And of course, the new guy, the lady who is now the president, rode on the back of what Gomez did, to become the prime minister, the president today. So, but you've seen so many other presidents that have ruled Mexico who have not done well, who have messed up their 5-year single term in office. So, individuals.
Okay, the other time you were talking about some of the presidents or governors having genuine intentions about leaving legacies. Maybe that is why they feel, okay, if I should come one more time, I should be able to finish what I have started. While you also talk about some that even the first time you would have known that if this one should come the second time, he has nothing to offer. But now, when we talk about leaving legacy, coming back, does that really mean you should be in government for 2 terms? If you want to leave legacy, I want to believe that before you get to you contested into an office, you should be able to at least line up the things you want to achieve when you get there. Like when you have a manifesto, you will tell people what you want to do. But when you get to the office now, nothing stops you from doing whatever you want to do within the single term. So if you want to leave legacy, is 1 term not enough?
All right. One of the beauties of 2 terms is that if you are intent on leaving legacies, then you have 8 years to do it. Seriously, I mean, let's face it. If you start a construction work in the first year of your first term, if it's a big project, it might not mature until after 3 years, 4 years. I mean, some of these things don't take off. They take off on time, but they have a gestation period, and then they have a long period for delivery and so on. So
But there will always be projects.
there will always be projects.
Yeah.
Now, if they are legacy projects and you want to see them to their the execution to their end, you need a second term. In fact, that is the lure of 2 terms in office for those who have the right heart towards it. But I know it's not limited to Nigeria. A lot of people go into governance and they want to seek for power first, and then when they get to the place, they will now think of what to do. So, like you said, there is no plan in place, there is no determination to push an agenda. It is what the party gives to them, and then they get in there and they begin to play politics with it. And therefore, they are not focused on delivery on their promises. But in some cases, and I'm happy to say that I've seen that in this nation, where from day one you see an executive taking the reign of power and knowing precisely what to do. That's how the concept of the first 100 days came in, so that we will be able to see what you have in mind. But a lot of the 100 days packages, you and I know, will be leather-bound brochure that contains pictures of the governors who are traveling to places and so on and so forth, and accepting the baby of the year, you know, the kind of thing. But in some cases, you will really see action that is packed into those 100 days. So again, it depends on the individual.
Some people believe that.
Therefore,
Some people believe that.
what do you want to achieve?
So some of these political office holders actually do, have plans before getting there. But a lot of the times, what they eventually meet usually used to be different from what they envisaged. So don't you think that could also be part of the...
That is very true. You had at the back of your mind, you had a grandiose plan to execute. You got into the place and you discovered that you had no resources and that you had to raise your own resources, or politics will not allow you to do that. You can't locate that place in that particular project in that place, because those people did not support us. So, and you now move the industry from the source of the raw material to about 100 miles away from it, and therefore increase your cost of transportation and so on and so forth. So that is the politics. That is the politics of you have to give, you have to do some things that will, mobilize the people, motivate the people. So you don't have to do things that will inconvenience people. Whereas good leaders are not afraid to inconvenience the people if they know that ultimately it will bring about good for the society.
Talking about good leaders, I know we have been leaders and we will continue to have, but how can we determine that, okay, this one is a good leader? Of course, we can say, okay, our president from so time to so time was the one that did this, did that, and the rest. We can pinpoint maybe some projects that he did or maybe is doing. But when we talk about good leaders, what are the things that we should look out for, especially when we want to go for election? As Dominic said earlier, I think it's getting to a stage that our leaders do not even care either you vote or you don't vote, and they will still get to that place. So now, how do we determine this in them? Because some will have genuine interest, they have the interest of the people, they have it at heart, but when they get there, as he has said, maybe there will be some godfathers that will say, no, this is the way to go.
You cannot find this.
Or this is the way we've been doing it, you cannot just come and change it overnight. And then some wants to be the game changer, but they were not allowed. So now, how do we determine a good leader?
Let's start from here. Leadership begins with a vision. And that's where a lot of leadership experiences fail, because For lack of vision, your leadership is suspect. Your claim to leadership is suspect. You can say, I'm a ruler. That would be understandable. But for you to call yourself a leader without a vision, something that is at the back of your mind, enshrined there, almost that cannot be removed, something that is there indelibly, and something that drives you, wakes you up in the morning, keeps you awake in the night. Without that vision, something that just you can't throw away, like a love that you cannot despise. You're married, Dominic?
No.
Not yet? Okay, all right. When you're about to get married and you see the right girl, you will discover that you will finish whatever thing you are doing here on time and go and report there. You will call several times in between sessions. And you call and say, I just want to know you're good. Sweet nonsense. Things that have nothing at all to do with rationality. That's the layer of love. And it is also the layer of vision. A vision keeps you on behind your desk, thinking. That's the kind of thing we saw in Awolowo when he said, while other men were carousing women of easy virtues, I am behind my desk, thinking through ideas. That's what vision does. All right, you and I know that the Greek settlements came as a result of that thinking. You know, Ikeja industrial estate came as a result of that. You know, the first television station in Africa came as a result of that. You know, the tallest building in Africa at that time came as a result of that. You know, there is the kind of vision, and you can't negotiate vision away. The truth of the matter is that if you do not have a vision for change, because that's exactly what vision does, vision drives change. If you don't have a vision to change, don't even venture into leadership. Don't venture at all, because you're going to mess it up. Every challenge that you have, like politics, like we talk about, you get into power, and then you now discover that the things that you're expecting are not there. Vision will make you go through that. Vision loves obstacles. Vision thrives where obstacles are, because vision is the ability to be able to see an end before anybody else sees it. It's your ability to say that something is possible even when others say it is not possible. So when challenges, layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of challenges are put before you, you find your way to skim through them, go under them where necessary, battle them with fists if you need to, engage in negotiation if that's what required. But whatever is necessary, you do, and I hope legally. All right, when you get married, you will discover that Madame will pile like 7 things on you. We don't have gas in the house. Don't forget the junior school fees. By the time you have those 7 things that are piled up in front of you, as the visionary leader of the family, you say, come on, girl. We will do that. Okay? But meanwhile, can I have tea? I'm about to go to work. And while you are going to work, you are thinking through which is major out of these things that my wife had mentioned. Okay, school fees, you quickly pay that, you transfer that, you have the other things. You know that gas, hey, Madam should be able to take care of it now. Okay, but this girl doesn't want to take care of it. All right, let me send her some money so that she can do that. Whatever it is that you need to do, and then you solve 5 out of the problems. And then you are told in the evening that you have 2 that you haven't done, and nobody mentions the 5 that you have done. And then you tell yourself, no, you don't say women. And then you tell yourself, I thought 5/7 was a good man. The vision that you have for your family will not allow you to say, I'm done with this marriage. Will not allow you to say marriage doesn't work. It just helps you to be able to see that obstacles are part and parcel of your leadership challenge.
Okay, I'm sure you're picking from what he's saying.
Keep
from me, understand. But before you ask a question
about vision, I'm talking about the vision.
Yes, okay. I want to talk about vision because you know that when you say leaders, they must be have visions, visionaries, and you know that some of them have shallow vision. So you will feel okay to him or maybe his cohorts. They will feel okay. That's what you have in mind. It will be okay for everyone. But when you look at it critically, you will see that that vision cannot be sustainable or cannot even answer the questions of the populace. And talking about vision that drives changes, so not all of them, they want changes, but not all of them are ready to fight obstacles, as he said. Not all of them, not all of them are ready to give whatever it takes to fight it to the end. When the obstacles come, they will just give in and even use that as an excuse that you can see what happens. So we were trying to put this in place and this happened. So now, when you talk about visions, there are some visions that are unachievable, and when they come to the table with them, how do we go about it?
Okay, all right. Vision, I do not know of many visions that are not achievable. You see, while you are envisioning a change, there is this there is this generality about your vision which is not specific. For example, I would say that I want to be a leader for change and I want to impact the world. I'm now going to go to specific, right? If I want to say I want to become president of Nigeria, for example, that's not part of my vision. But bringing change to those around me, like I did this morning, for somebody that I've never met before, and I decided to do something for her. I don't even know what she looks like, and I did it without even knowing the face that she wears or whatever. All right. Now, I believe there are so many other people who do that. You know, so, but for me to be specific as to what I want to, the place I want to occupy, that is a mission, no longer a vision. A vision is usually general. A vision is, for example, I'm going to be governor of XYZ state. I want to bring my state, XYZ state, from the place of dormancy to economic activity that will open the space for economic buoyancy that will impact the lives of the people significantly. I'm not going to say I want to build an oil refinery. That would be a mission statement. That is not vision. So those specific things that people will say, I have not been able to achieve my vision, it is not your vision, it is your mission. Because whereas vision remains the same, it doesn't change, mission statement can change from time to time. I may get there now. I'd hoped that part of my mission would be to do a refinery, and the refinery will require for me to source oil under the Arab crust in my state, and we have not sourced oil, or we have oil there, we have not got the permission of the president to drill. So what will I do? I can't build a refinery. So you have to change the mission. You alter the mission, but the vision remains the same. So when people say, I've not been able to achieve what I set out to achieve, what have you not achieved? It is your mission that you have not been able to achieve. And you will not win all the time. If the world is such that you win in whatever you set out to achieve, I don't think it will be that adventurous. I don't want to live in such a world. I want to live in a world where some of my challenges will remain with me till I die. I don't object to them. You know, I am stuck with a wife, for example, and I looked at her straight in the face and said, whatever it is you do, you and I together, we are going to do it till the end. And then she looked at me and said, same here. Challenges are bound to come. And because I've accepted them as part and parcel of leadership, they don't scare me anymore. And they shouldn't scare leaders. And leaders are tough. They are able to take actions even though they know that those actions are not popular. But they know that it will be for the overall interest of the people.
How do we raise leaders like that? Really? You mentioned the message for Awolowo, the finest really in his time, and then I don't think we have seen, you know, anyone like him after him, you know, exhibit those virtue and those character, you know, as far as leadership is concerned. You know, and whether we like it or not, I mean, if we are not deliberate, we may not have people like him anymore, because whether we like it or not, the models, you know, for those that are coming behind will be the way they are seen. And if the life and times of the people like Awolowo, you know, are not told to these younger ones, if you are not deliberate about you know, telling them about what Awolowo did, what he stood for, and the rest of them, they may not replicate him anymore. You know, what do you think we should be doing? What deliberate and concerted effort should
I'm going to give you two examples, and the two examples are on the opposite sides, and I'm going to mention names with due regard to these men. Look at IBB. Of the military leaders who had a stronger hold on the military, all the military leaders, had to say that we have had, nobody had a stronger hold on the military. We had IBB boys. It is modeling. It is mentoring. It is the ability to pull them together. Somebody could say, all right, IBB did that for some ulterior motives. He did that to advance the selfish ambitions of these individuals who he brought together. But I'm told that before IBB would do anything, it would throw the thing open before those boys, and those boys will argue and argue and argue and argue and argue, and sometimes they overruled him. That is leadership. No wonder a lot of his boys now took over in places. Even we had Raju Asaki here, who was governor of Ogun State. We had so many of them spread across the nation because they believed in this leader, and they believed that he had what it takes to be able to lead them. And of course, he still achieved certain things. Of course, somebody will say he brought corruption to the country and institutionalized it. As a leader, as a student of leadership, I look at, I even see something about Hitler that I believe anybody could copy, any leader who wants to copy. And I'm going to end up with the character issue, you know, later. Now, you are not supposed to talk of anybody in government now, but look at what Tinubu did in Lagos. Look at the same people that he's recycling. Look at the young people he took then, and he had developed them into strong personalities today. Nobody in this nation has been able to achieve that. Nobody. Apart from Awolowo, in my opinion. Apart from Sardauna of Sokoto, these were men who really developed others, worked with others, developed their capacities, and helped them achieve. If they needed to, if Sardauna needed to send you abroad to go and study something, he would send you abroad. If he needed to do this, he would do that. Whatever it is, he's the one who discovered that military will be very, very important in the future. And he told the young men to go into the military. And look at what has happened to the North. Look at what they have been able to achieve. Right. So that was leadership. But look at the men around Tinubu today. They were those who have been with him for a long time. Those who could trust, those who could rely upon. And look at the consistency. Look at the last man standing when every other governors have already fallen.
Like pack of cards.
Yeah, so like pack of cards. He stood. And why did he stand? Because he was able to hold, his people together, and then he achieved that. The history of this country, when it is written, I think we will have a whole book, a whole chapter devoted to the kind of politics and his leadership style and the kind of politics. There are drawbacks to that also. But any leader that has achievements without drawbacks, let's call him something else. He's not a leader.
Because of our time is fast-paced. I just want to ask one more question about the topic itself. Now, what are we saying in essence? That the single term is not enough, and the two terms cannot also conclude all the project.
It's about character. It's about character. It's about what you bring to the table in your leadership. The culture of leadership that we have developed.
That will determine.
And I'm amazed about that, because America has developed this culture over a long period of time. But one person who is changing all that now, and that tells us that every of this thing is fragile. Democratic process is fragile, and it requires leaders like you guys here to help us keep that.
You think we can do that?
And we can still tie it up and make sure that it doesn't fall. Because it can fall.
We'll try our best.
You can make one decision and destroy it.
It's always a pleasure, really. It's always a delight having you in the studio. Discussing issues like
we
this.
just
really.
Continue.
Honestly, but unfortunately, time will not permit us. We must thank you sincerely for your time with us, Engineer Abiodun Fijabi. He is a public commentator, and of course many other caps and feathers that he has to his shoulders, and it's glad having you join us. That's the time of the program. New Dawn right here on OGTV, the midweek edition. I'm Dominic Agbeha.
Doyosola Ogunbadewa is my name. Join our colleague on Friday for another edition. But for today, we say thank you for watching.